back to school safety, it's all about what the parents need to know as well as what the school management needs to know in preparation for the new academic session. We have basically 6 steps that a parent needs to follow. Majority of them is going to focus on the pandemic. For us, we don't only look at COVID-19, we look at Lassa fever that your kids could be infected with, and every other infection that they could get. So the first we're going to look is, are your kids vaccinated? Vaccination is not just on COVID-19. A lot of parents want to put their kids in creche, they want to put their kids in play class. Have your child completed their complete 9 months of vaccination, or they're still within the process of vaccination? Know that vaccination is a protection for children from being infected. A lot of parents will take their kids to school after playing with their vaccination tag. So if you are a parent and you need to register your word in a school this season, you need to ensure that their vaccination process is either completed or on the way. Most times, the kids you put on creche could just develop a serious sickness if their immune system is not well built. So think about the children vaccination before they resume school. If your child is above 12 years, thank God we have a new breakout from the COVID-19 vaccination process. If your child is above 12 years or is about to clock 12 years, and you're comfortable issuing the COVID-19 vaccine, ensure that that child is also vaccinated of COVID-19 before they resume school. Are you sure your kids are still familiar with safety precautions as regarding COVID-19? It's been long. When COVID-19 came and the schools were on, your kids are quick to remind you that they wash your hand, carry your face mask when you're going out. Are they still familiar with these safety precautions? As the school is about to resume, you need to re-educate and remind your kids on the basic COVID-19 safety precautions. What are those pharmaceutical precautions? It said we should keep social distance or physical distance. Remind your kids what physical distance is. When they go to school, how to distance themselves from others. Because if they don't distance themselves from others, kids are quick to tangle. And when they tangle in the process, they could transmit not just COVID-19, they could transmit Lassa fever, they could transmit flu, they could transmit just the flu. This is a cold season. They could transmit every other infection that they might pick up while in school. Your kids, are they still familiar with the rules of face masks? Let them know how to wear their face masks and how to store their face masks. You know the kids cannot put on face masks all through the day in school. So when they need to pull it off, how do they need to keep it hygienically? You should remind them of this. If possible, have a sealed bag that the kids will have to keep their face masks in case they need to pull it off. Are they still familiar with a 20-second hand washing procedure? A 20-second hand washing procedure is the one that they will need to wash their hands regularly, or the use of sanitizer. If your kids are not familiar with that, please try as much as possible to remind them. Are your kids prepared to go back to school academically? Some kids in the last 2 months have been playing and party, excursion, travel and all that without picking their books. When school resumes, there's what we call re-entry test. If your kids are not reading now, they might fall short of expectation when they resume. when others are doing re-entry tests and they're doing better, your kids might just fall short of it. This is the time to prepare your kids for re-entry tests. This is the time for you to prepare your kids to start reading. If you know you have bought books for the new academic section, this is the time to introduce your kids to such books for them to start reading. So ensure that you start doing that now. Check your kids' educational materials. I know most kids have not put on their school shoes in the last 2 months. It's enough for that shoe to grow mucor. That could be a point where spiders might be hiding. That could be a point if you live in a bushy environment, for example. If scorpion has crawled into your house, that shoe can be the point where the scorpion will hide. Because there are some people who will have to keep their shoes outside and all that. Scorpion could hide there. Other little insect could hide there. Have you started cleaning and sunning them now? Because if you don't clean them and they develop mucor and your child puts their legs on that shoe for 6 hours on resumption day, they will definitely come back home with a particular infection on their legs. Their school bags, their lunch bag, have you started checking them and cleaning them, wash them and sun them? It is your responsibility as a parent to ensure that these things are done before resumption. Finally, for the parents, this is the time to bring your kids together and listen to them. Africa will have a culture of assuming for our children. Hence, they are not quick to give to you information that will guide you when you are preparing them for school. Have you listened to the concern of your children about the last academic session? To be able to prepare them for the next academic session. When you hear of child molestation, this happened in school. If you don't listen to your child, how will you know that your child is being molested in school? Have your child ever used the word, I don't want to go back to that school since the holiday? This is the time to know their concern. Why are they afraid of going back to school? You need to listen to them attentively to make a choice whether it is right for you to return your words back to that school, or you need to change them, or you need to engage the management of the school to address the fear of the child. As a parent, if you keep these rules, these safety rules in place, you're sure that you're going to have a good resumption system. What about the school? The school itself have a role to play in the safety of a school back to school process. For a school, it is presently a recurring announcement by the government that everybody should be vaccinated. If your staff are not vaccinated, encourage them to be vaccinated against COVID-19. The vaccine has been proven to be safe, and it is safer for caregivers to be 100% protected in order not to contract infection to those kids that no parent bring your child to school for you to infect them. The schools presently have young lads that are being employed in schools, young bachelors that spend all day, all weekend in club. Encourage them to be vaccinated and have an evidence of their vaccination card as a school management. In the Western world today, a teacher cannot resume school without an evidence of being vaccinated. Being vaccinated is to reduce the risk of spreading the COVID-19 infection to kids in the school. Don't forget, when a child contracts COVID-19, it's already a potential epidemic for the entire school. Sometimes we call it a catastrophe in some situations. So the kids who did not come from home with COVID-19 and get infected with COVID-19 in your school, it's actually a bad omen for your school business. Reinforce what we call the COVID-19 protocol instruction in your school. Have your school management print new flyer, new banner to ensure that COVID-19 education is being re-echoed in the school. This is the time for you to do it. As parents come to pick their books for the new academic session, let them read through this new COVID-19 protocol. Don't rely on the government alone. Don't rely on the government alone to share this information. On the side of the government, they will do theirs. On the side of the management of Delta Broadcasting Service, we will do ours by educating the public. You, as a management of a school, should also do your part by ensuring that every corner of your school have an information on the safety precaution of COVID-19. Have you retrained your staff in preparation for the new academic session? Most schools, you just resume without reinforcing the knowledge of caregiving to your teachers and staff of your school. It is compulsory that at the beginning of every session, you should reinforce the importance of caregiving education to your staff. They're giving care to people, kids. If you don't reinforce this knowledge on them, they will just come into the school, bring their lackadaisical character from home, and enforce it on children. There's difference between taking care of children on the street and taking care of children in school. That is the objective of the caregiver course that we advocate every time. You, as a management of a school, you need to prepare your staff for caregiver course as they resume. You need to inspect your COVID-19 prevention equipment. The hand washing device that you have, you know you've kept the bucket for over 2 weeks. Are they still working? Are they still effective? Your hand sanitizer, are they still there? You need to prepare the hand sanitizer machine for it to be effective. Are these equipment still there? They are part of the safety precaution of resuming a school. And finally, if I am in the authority, seat of authority, I assure you, if your schools are not decontaminated and fumigated, you will not resume school. It is the responsibility of every school management to ensure that their schools are decontaminated and fumigated before resumption of school. And also parents and Parents Teachers Association should ensure that this is enforced. Why do you need to fumigate and decontaminate your school before resumption? Any environment that is left for too long is an arbor for rodents, pets, and even a hiding point for reptiles. If your school has been left in the last 2 months, if the school is not fumigated, rodents might have come to that school and defecate. And research has shown that the primary cause of Lassa fever are feces of rodents. So if rodents have stayed in your school and defecate in all the chairs in the school, and the school is not decontaminated, it means that the kids are exposed to infection. If it is not fumigated, quiet points are points for things like scorpion, snakes. Your schools have been kept calm and quiet for these reptiles to come and harbor within the time of holiday. It will take a whole 1 or 2 weeks for the school to be noisy for these things to go out of the school. You don't need the student to be in the school to be able to chase them away. So you must fumigate your school. You must decontaminate your school from every environmental infection. Children are very prone to acquiring airborne infection. And since the school has been left lying low, it means that it's a resting point for airborne infections and all that. Kindly decontaminate your environment. All this process are very easy and cheap to go by. If you don't know what to do about it, just walk into Delta Broadcasting Service, and I assure you, we can provide you the best of advice to prepare your school and prepare your children and the back to school safety wear. I think